Hello, how's it going? Welcome back. It's been a little while. I've had a very difficult and busy start to the year, and I've also had a cough for the last 2 weeks, so if I do descend into coughing fits, please forgive me, I still have this cough. Anyway, what I do have here are two very small, very dusty, and very sort of forgotten and neglected RC cars. It is true that, generally speaking, things are cheaper now than they used to be. Now, I know we've got cost of living crisis because all politicians are incompetent, but things like, electronics are cheaper relatively when you factor in inflation than they used to be. Manufacturing has become more efficient than it used to be. Logistics have become more efficient than they used to be. For example, most people will have a computer in their house now that is several thousand times more powerful than the computers that put man on the moon, and yet they cost, maybe 500 quid or maybe £1,000, as opposed to untold millions. RC cars are very similar. It used to be that a good RC car cost probably too much for most people. Now, don't get me wrong, you still get £1,000 RC cars, but your entry level stuff, your Tamiyas, etc., £150 worth, in the grand scheme of things now, you've got phone contracts, internet contracts, and everything that's 30, 40, £50 a month, or you can spend £150 on a ready to run RC car or a Tamiya kit that you build. I think in terms of, once you factor in the inflation, they are overall cheaper than they used to be. And one of the things that people say is that the real bottom end of RC cars are better than they used to be. Now, that might be true. It could be that the true bottom end, almost toy grade, one step above toy grade RC car, were rubbish back in the day. But I'm not convinced that they're not really much better now than they were, for example, a decade ago. For example, here we have this Pinecone RC Pioneer. Now, this represents what you can get now. Most people know this truck as a UDI RC because the Pinecone model, I had to get this from some, one of those import from the East kind of rubbishy websites like Banggood or whatever it was, for cheap. This, I think, cost me something about £70 or £75. This is the brushless version. But you can get the UDI RC cars like the Breaker and the Panther and the fake Lancia Delta and the fake Mini, and they are the same car as this. They're identical. The same chassis, the same wheels and tyres. Well, this Mini's got Mini style wheels and tyres, but most of them are all the same. The same electronics, same chassis, the same parts. This is a UDI RC. You can get them for about £75, maybe £75 for the brushed version. This is the brushless version. Now, they've gone up in price in the last couple of years, and they've now just creeped over £100. So they're about £105 retail. So just over £100, you can get them for slightly under retail. So around about £100 for the retail for the brushless version, this version. I don't think that's particularly good, frankly. So it's the purpose of this video is ascertaining whether these entry level, really cheap, just barely above toy grade, almost introduction to the hobby type cars are better than what you got 10 years ago. So that seems to be the consensus, and these seems to be the sort of the go-to, the golden childs. Everybody likes these. I'm not that convinced by them. This one isn't standard. It's got oil shocks all round, because when these are brand new, even the Pro, what they call it, the Pro brushless version, has pogo sticks. They're just plastic. They're not really dampers. And that's the neighbour's dogs going mental. Sorry about that. So when you first drive them, they bounce around a lot. Getting the oil-filled shocks makes a big difference, and it drives a lot better now. Another thing that they suffer from as standard is the diffs are too tight as standard. So I've gone in, slacking them off a little bit. Now they're still quite tight, but they now work. Whereas previously, you would turn that and it would just not work. You'd have to really force it. So we have diffs now. Essentially, they were locked before. As for the electronics, it comes with a brushless motor. As I said, this is the brushless version. It comes with a 2-in-1 receiver and ESC, little plastic geared servo, and it comes with a Li-ion battery, a 7.4 volt Li-ion lithium ion, which is currently on charge because the included USB charger is like, it's not a slow charger in the old fashioned 30-year ago 14-hour charge slow charger sort of style, but it's not as good as a fast charger, so it's in the between. Probably takes an hour and a half, 2 hours to charge from flat. A little USB charger. It charges through the balance port, but yeah, it's what you expect from an entry level. It does have metal drive shafts. It has a metal prop shaft. Pretty sure the gears are metal. Might be wrong. I can't remember. And it has ball bearings. So, you know, at the old price of about £85, ready to run with the brushless one, pretty good. At 105, you're kind of squeaking up too close to entry level 1/10. By that point, you can get Mavericks for 130. So, yeah, that's what you get nowadays. Non-adjustable suspension, double wishbone, all round. It's very comparable to this. This is what you got about 10 years ago. I've had this for about 10 years. This is a Basher Pitbull. But essentially, this, you know, was known to most people as a Maverick Ion. Like this, several brands sold this with different names, different graphics, and sometimes a different shell or whatever, and called it a different car. This was available as several things. The High Moto Baron was one of them, and Maverick had a whole range of Ions. And this was the desert truck, the Ion DT, but there was a monster truck, there was a truggy, a rally car, all sorts of stuff. And the Basher Pitbull was only available as this desert truck. It's classed as a smaller scale than this, because in real life, a desert truck's bigger than a car. So this is classed as a 1/16th, this is classed as a 1/18th, but they are the same size. I mean, it's got a slightly wider track width, but the wheelbase is exactly the same. So they're very comparable. They both have 4-wheel drive, they're both brushless, they both have bearings all round, and they both now have oil-filled shocks. That came without, as I said. Unlike that, this came with oil-filled shocks as standard. These gold shocks are, spec-wise, identical to the silver ones that came with it. There's no difference whatsoever. They are the same shocks. It's just that on the Maverick Ion range, all the metal bits were anodized gold. And when I got this, Matthew got a Basher Pitbull at the same time, and one, to differentiate between the two of them, and two, to annoy him, I got nice shiny gold bits. So I got gold shocks, which do nothing, they're just gold. A gold metal prop shaft. Can't remember if the standard prop shaft is plastic or metal. It might have been plastic, in which case that is an upgrade, as opposed to the shocks, which is just bling. I can't remember. I got the gold drive shafts. Now, they were plastic, as standard. So that is an upgrade, maybe. It depends if you want. I mean, the metal's probably slightly heavier, although it is alloy. The gold outdrives, I think the outdrives were metal. I can't remember. They're either metal or plastic. So this is either the same with window dressing, or it's slightly upgraded because some of the parts were plastic and now they're metal. Where this has an advantage over this is this has a proper ESC and receiver, not a 2-in-1 system. And it comes with a proper 2S LiPo. This is a lithium polymer, not a lithium ion, 7.4 volt 2S. That's a 1200, this is a 1500. It's actually not too bad, 1500 40C or something, 40C burst. So it's not a great spec, but considering what this was, it's not bad at all. And obviously you get this little cover, which is just to, mount the electronics and give you a little driver figure. And you see in there, it's got a slightly smaller motor, I think. Is it smaller than that one? That's a good question, actually. No, it looks smaller because it's longer. You know what? I think it's a longer motor than that one, but a smaller diameter. So there you are. Slightly different. They both have a proper servo, as in 3-cable servo, not a 5-cable servo. So that's good. So they can be replaced or upgraded. But this one has the electronics advantage just by not having a 2-in-1 system. One thing I remember for both of these is, it's very typical for 2-in-1s, chronic lag on the throttle. There's always a delay. This also has a lag on the throttle. So this is better on paper. In reality, neither of them are brilliant on the electronics department. One thing that's weird is, obviously this is taller, it's a desert truck, it's got more travel, etc. This is double wishbone all round. This is independent suspension, although it's not double wishbone. The geometry is wrong on this. Something's wrong with the geometry on this. It's got quite a lot of rear toe, quite a lot of front toe. But if you move I'll give you an above angle, but if you move the suspension up and down, the rear toe gets, more or less, gets slightly more, and the rear camber gets slightly more when you compress it. But the front goes from toe in to toe out with the compression of the shocks as the suspension moves. So the geometry is a bit weird, a bit off. It's not right, but it's non-adjustable, so that's how it is. So yeah, that'll literally, the amount of lean it has, the amount of suspension you've compressed, it'll actually change the steering geometry and suspension geometry as you drive along. So it's not ideal. Neither of these are perfect, of course. I had some issues with this when I first drove it. The heatsink was stuck on with adhesive because it was too big for the can. So, first of all, that's not acting as a heatsink then at all, because that adhesive it's not like CPU paste, for a computer. It's not thermal paste. It's literally just an adhesive. So the heatsink did nothing, and then it fell off, and I ran it over, which is bizarre. And then the rear diff cover, which has the top arm mount on it, cracked and fell off. So the arm and the wheel fell off when I hit the front of the car. Oh no! But I actually think that was the cause, because this screw where it pivots was over tight, and so the whole thing locked up. And then I had this weird crash where I wasn't actually on throttle, but the car leapt forward anyway, which might have been as a result of this delay I was talking about. But anyway, that fell off. And then there's mold lines. You won't be able to see this on camera, but there's mold lines in here where the steering arms are. So it goes from the servo horn, there's this little steering link into the steering assembly, and you've got the arms that connect to the toe links. And those arms have mold lines on them, and the very first time I drove this, the arms split along the mold line. So really not a good start. On top of that, you had the chattering from the fact that it didn't have oil-filled shocks, and it had the world's worst electronic stability program, like traction control. If you turned it up to anything above 0, it tried to counteract the car when it was going a straight line. It was wobbling side to side the whole time. Just turn that down, turn it off. It's useless. So not ideal. However, Matthew's one, the UDI, he's got a UDI Breaker or Panther, one of the two, I think the Breaker. Same car, but maybe there's better quality control in the UDI factory because he had no cracks in the steering, his suspension wasn't binding, his wheel didn't fall off, his heatsink didn't fall off. He had the chattering, but when we got the oil shocks all round, it solved that. One thing he did have, quality control wise, that was wrong was one of the suspension arms, I can't remember which one, was mounted upside down. It had to be corrected, but actually, now I'm thinking about it, his first one was faulty and it wouldn't work. Kept on cutting out, it had no range, so we had to get a replacement. So yeah, not brilliant. But if you get a good one that doesn't have horrible binding and faulty electronics and stuff, and then you put the oil-filled shocks in it, slacken off the diffs, that completely transforms it, and it actually becomes quite a good fun drive. This is also not perfect. Although it comes with oil-filled shocks, as I said, not these ones, but silver oil-filled shocks, they might as well not be oil-filled. They just pour out. I've rebuilt these several times, and the originals. These had 80 weight TLR, 80 weight oil in them, and they just pour out. So now they're just lubricated and nothing more because they don't seal. You could probably get, O-ring sets and everything to sort it out, but whatever. I'm not bothered with an RC like this. I don't really care. So the shocks are technically oil-filled, but not oil-filled. I mean, you can probably hear the squeaking because they're not properly damped at all. The wheels tend to split. I've gone through 2 of them, I think. They crack around the spokes. And Matthew, not me, but Matthew's one had a servo horn crack. So, again, not perfect. I think I would say overall I had less issues with this one than we've had with this one, because we've had 2 out of 2 working, as opposed to, 2 out of 3 working because we had to send one back. Overall, yeah, not too bad. This one doesn't change the suspension geometry when you compress it, so that's good. What about price though? With inflation, is this more expensive or less expensive than this is now? £105 in today's money. This was, 10 years ago, £28.30. But take that with a big pinch of salt. The Basher Pitbull was £28.30. And they got sold out instantly as soon as they were available on Hobby King. That's where they came from, Hobby King. They're not made anymore. I don't believe they made profit out of that, because it came with a LiPo, for goodness sake, because that must be 10 quid already. Generally speaking, these were more expensive. The Maverick Ions were the ones you could get in the UK readily. So if you go on Model Sport or something like that, Wheelspin, whatever, you can get Maverick Ion for retail. You get one of these for retail. They're 105. The Maverick Ion was 85. So they're quite comparable, but the Maverick Ion was brushed. This is brushless. So that'll never compete with this one with value, but compared to the Ion, not a million miles away. Although I think the Ion electronics, the brushed electronics were better. I've heard the brushed electronics, so this is better as well because there's no lag. So yeah, good fun, not brilliant. Good fun, not brilliant. Brushless each, 4-wheel drive each, independent suspension each, weird geometry, issues 2 in 1, independent. We'll have to see how they compare when they're out in the street or in a car park or whatever. Before we do that, let me just show you the transmitters. This is the Basher one. This is the Pinecone one, which is very similar, I think, or even the same as the UDI RC one. I think it is the same. So this is the one you'd get nowadays. It has your ESP, that's your stability program. Keep that right off. Just get rid of it. It's horrible. Steering trim, steering dual rate. There's no throttle trim adjustment, but there is a three-stage throttle switch. You can turn the throttle down for beginners, for kids or whatever, but you keep it up at full. It does have a 3rd channel, that's for the lights. This has lights, this doesn't. Throttle and steering reverse. Not a lot going on, but it does fine. It does what you need. This is considerably heavier. The steering wheel is smaller though, and it has less throw. So these have both got nice foam comfortable wheels. They're both nice. They're actually both quite nice transmitters. This has more throw, so it's got more fine control on the steering. This hits full lock quite quickly. Heavier trigger, heavier transmitter, has more going on. It says channel 3, but channel 3 is a bit of a because there's nothing this has that's channel 3. It does have a 3rd slot on the receiver. 1, 2, 3 channel reverse. It has here endpoint adjustment for your steering. It has dual rate for your steering. There's your steering trim, so you don't get a visual representation of where your trim is. It just clicks one way or the other. Same with the throttle. Channel 3 is one switch in here, on or off. So not a lot you could do with that. You could get lights as well, I suppose, but you wouldn't be able to have well, this one has, like, you can have the lights flashing, or you can have the lights solid, or you can have some lights on and not others, or you can have red LEDs along with the white LEDs. This one you just have lights on, lights off if you had them, which I don't. Quite comparable. This has a little bit more adjustment. This has, well, it's got the 3-speed adjustment. I have no complaints either way. They're fine. No idea which one will be faster, so let's take them out and find out. This is Rachel's brother, Michael. He goes by Michael, I go by Mike to keep it even, although she gets it wrong all the time. New car, old car, we're trying to find out which is better and which is the better value, and I'll tell you the cost of them afterwards once you've had a shot of them, okay? Right, okay. Do you want to try the new one or the old one?
New one.
New one? There you go. One thing you'll realise straight away, because they're budget brushless, is it has horrific delay on the throttle. Is it working?
A little bit delay.
This one's got a terrible delay. This one's 10 years older than that one roughly. My delay is pretty bad. But they go quick though. I should probably say as well, oh, mine cut out. I completely cut out, look, it's gone.
It just died.
Oh, I think.
Did you charge it?
Yeah, I charged it. Yep, mine died. So the new one's better. Yes, it's very cold. It's February and it's 5 degrees, and the tarmac's damp, so grip is not a thing today. This hasn't gone well at all. This is now for some reason dead. Could be a poor connection on the battery, I suppose. Jiggle the connector a little bit.
This is awesome.
You like that one, do you?
Yeah, it's awesome.
This one I'm sure is awesome too, but help. I'd love to join in. In this one's defense, it didn't do this 10 years ago. Let me try it. It's a poor connection on the battery.
There's a hell of a delay.
Well, the throttle delay.
Yeah.
It's awful, isn't it?
It's almost like there's a dead zone.
Right, what? It comes and goes when I'm trying to plug or unplug the battery.
What's the top speed on this?
I don't know, like 15, 20 maybe?
Nice and smooth ground actually.
This is pretty good. I think I'm not going to be able to use this one today. Something's up with this one. I've got nothing. So I did a big long introduction at home and this one doesn't work. Right, I think all we can do just now is have fun with that one, and I'll fix that and we'll do it again sometime. So let's see the delay. The delay is pretty prominent.
Yeah, it's not good.
Well, grip's low, isn't it? So it's got a few features, this one, Michael, which I'm sure you're not aware of. You've got the lights, you can change it by the transmitter.
That's cool.
Mine is a bit funny, sometimes they just decide to work. I've not pressed it. I quite like it without the red, but... And then you've got the child mode, that's the top speed. And then you've got medium, and then high. There's medium.
I'll go high with it.
That's medium. Yeah, you were on high. This is high. I think. It certainly goes pretty well.
It goes, eh?
It spins out super easy on this.
It's been easy, yeah.
I think it's just the temperature and the damp.
Into the rough ground.
It's a lot of stuttering, it's cogging. It cogs a fair amount.
Oh, this is a really rhythmic thing. Quite good, isn't it?
You gotta be, if you're careful with your inputs and be more progressive, you can drive it. I say, spinning it out.
Just laughed like it was intentional.
Yes.
That was all intentional.
Obviously. Was that you getting low, or were you just going easier? Okay, just to explain, this was not technically one you could get in the UK. You had to get it from Banggood, but it's exactly the same as the one you can get in the UK from Motorsport, etc., just with a different shell. But it's the same car. They were 85 quid ready to run for the brushless version a couple of years back, but now they retail at 105, which is a bit much, in my opinion. But this actually I got for 70, which is pretty good.
Pretty good.
You can get the brushless one for 85 or 80, which sorry, the brushed version.
Yeah, but then if you could get the brushless for it, you would want this one, eh?
Well, the thing is, the problem is that's not, even if you go full retail, you can get it for cheaper than retail. If you go full retail on that, it's 105, but that doesn't include those shock absorbers because they were not oil filled when it was new.
Right.
So that's another 20 quid. So that's 125 at this point, retail. I sell with your face, that's not great value.
Not great value. It's fun though, it's cool. For a kid, you know?
It's cool, I mean, it's cool, I like it.
It's very stable, it doesn't fall over or anything.
It's, no, I mean, you're used to that stupid wee Traxxas of yours that used to roll over all the time. My problem is now, you can get a Maverick 1/10 for 130 ready to run.
Yeah.
And I can't, yeah, no, not for that. This one, you saw it going briefly.
Seems fast.
Guess what that was? Brand new, retail.
10 years ago?
Yeah.
65.
£28.30. £28. But
right.
that was just this one. This was like a stupid little thing from Hobby King that they did very limited run of. But the other manufacturers that sold this exact car with a different name, they were anywhere from 65 to 85.
So I was right. Yeah.
So,
yeah. 65 seems pretty fine for that.
Yeah.
Does it still sell, or is it?
No, this is not. No. Yeah. So for 105 for that versus 65 for that, if that was working, I'm with inflation. What is that? 90, maybe 85 quid with inflation.
65 probably 80 quid.
Yeah, 80 quid. It's hard to say because that one doesn't work.
Yeah. What's the used price on the minis?
Well, I don't think it matters.
No?
There's not enough of them sold, I don't think. What we need to do is come back with this working and have a, we'll come back and we'll decide which one's better.
This one looks better.
You like the Mini better, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I will say about the Mini is the fit and finish is nice, although there's spelling mistakes and stuff on it. The finish and the fitment on this is appalling. Like the cage doesn't fit right, the cage has come away, and that's been like that since it was new. But
yeah,
I want to give this one like
little headlights.
Yeah, it's cool. I want to give this one a proper shake at it though, because it deserves it. So we'll come back to it.
Take two.
Take two, yes. Well, that didn't go to plan, did it? That's a shame. I was really looking forward to comparing this to the Mini, because although I am going to be entirely objective when it comes to comparing them both, I'm kind of cheering for this because I've had a lot of fun with this over the years I've owned it. Matthew and I have done some great videos with this. Mature, sophisticated fun.
Yes! Yes! Oh, that's solid!
And yeah, had a lot of fun with this little car. Obviously I've got to try and evaluate what was wrong with it. Now, I did a few things to try and work out what was going on. Obviously it had some sort of connection issue because it would cut out, it would work, it would cut out. And every time I went to separate the ESC and the battery cables, when I went to pull on the plugs, it would spring back into life most of the time. So I figured the first obvious place to look was the plugs. So what I did is I cut the XT60s off and soldered on Dean's connectors on both the ESC and the battery. Now I know the XT60s are better than Dean's, but it was just to try. I have Dean's lying around, and also all of my stuff, with the exception of my GT12 race car, all of my stuff uses Dean's anyway, so it is easier for me. Didn't solve it. So what I did then, maybe there's a break in the battery cables. So what I did then was cut away, here's the battery here. I'll explain this in a second, but I cut as close as I would dare get to within a lithium battery to solder. So I took a big chunk out of the cable and replaced it with more cable with the Dean's on the end, see if there was a break in there, but it didn't seem to be a break. It still didn't work. Okay, what next? Well, I tried different radio gear from another model. Radio gear was not to blame. And then I plugged this radio gear into a different ESC, etc., and that worked. So it seemed to be the ESC. So what did I do then? I took the ESC a bit, see if I could see anything wrong, any corrosion or whatever. Not really, couldn't see anything. It's all sealed with a sort of waterproof, weatherproof sealant. You can't really get into it. I took the switch to pieces to see if there was anything I can see in the switch. Same thing, couldn't tell, looked all clean, sealed with this waterproof stuff. I genuinely thought, well, at that point, this ESC's goosed. So I'll cut the switch off and I'll solder the switch together so it's constantly connected, just in case the switch was the problem. So you see here, it's now just sealed away. There's no switch anymore. That's constantly active, constantly closed circuit. Still didn't work. But then I did notice something. If I plug a different small LiPo in, everything sprung to life again. It turns out the connection is broken right in here. I don't know which cable, if it's the positive or negative, but right where one of the two cables connects to the battery, it's breaking the connection, so it's loose in there. I'm not taking a 2S LiPo apart or any lithium polymer battery apart to solder. No chance. I wouldn't risk it, especially since batteries like this are what, £15, less than £15. So I just needed a replacement battery for this to save myself all the hassle, and we're all good. But obviously, to make a fair comparison, I need to get one of equivalent spec as close as I can. So this is a 1500 milliamp 40C burst 25C continuous. I tried this Overlander. I could have got another Overlander for a few pence more, which was better, but again, I wanted to keep it close to the spec. This is slightly better, 2200 rather than 1500. Same continuous 25C, but it's a 45C burst, not a 40C burst. And actually your C rating also takes into account your capacity. So the more capacity you have, the more burst you have for the same C rating. So this is a slightly better battery overall. Unfortunately, this didn't fit. I did measure the battery tray, but the battery tray, you can measure it there and it all looks good, but the battery tray isn't, I didn't know that, I didn't look close enough. The battery tray isn't a perfect rectangle. On the inside where the drive shaft is, there's a notch taken out of it at one end, at the rear end where the diff housing goes in. So this didn't fit. This actually took up all of the battery tray, but that little notch prevented it. So I have now bought a different small battery, which is this one, which is a Radiant Super Packs. Never heard of it. It is quite a lot shorter than the original, but it is wider, same sort of height. It does say online, because I did look up the dimensions, that this should fit. I haven't tried it yet. Very close in terms of spec, 1600 rather than 1500, 30C burst rather than 25, and 60C burst rather than 40, and 30C continuous rather than 25. So again, it's a slightly better spec, but it was as close as I could get with these dimensions. So let's try it. Hope it fits. Like I say, I've not even looked at this yet. It is a bit shorter, so I might need to pack it out with some foam. As long as it's not too wide, does it fit? I'll have to do it that way probably. It's, ooh, just about fits. It just about fits. Yeah, we'll make that fit. It's a bit of a squeeze. It's a bit of a squeeze, but it will. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. I've charged it up already, so I'll just make sure. Yeah, it's a squeeze, but yeah, nah, that'll be fine. Absolutely, that's not even going to move. I won't need to pack it with foam at all. It's completely jammed in there. Perfect. And there we go. So that's fine, and that will reach the ESC, etc. So I just need to stick all this down, and we will have a working Pitbull again to compare against the Mini. So we're back on. Alright, have a quick shot of that and see what you think. Obviously this will roll easier because it's taller.
It feels like stable in the turn.
Well, it won't be. It's taller, and I don't know. It's slightly wider, but
well, it feels like it's better going onto this stuff.
Oh, it will be. It's got a higher centre of gravity, softer suspension, so it will slide out easier, and it'll be grip rolling easier.
It feels like it's got better grip in the corner. Oh.
Whoa! It feels like it's upside down in a puddle, Michael.
Oops.
Jab on. Jab on.
I find it lifelike when it's spin out.
Well, it's warmer today than the last time, remember. It's 11 degrees today. It was much colder the other day, so.
It's also got more linear throttle by the feel.
Does it over this?
Yeah.
You think so?
Well, like when I put the power on, it like has like a slight delay to full power.
It does. It's got almost a step in its power delivery.
Yeah,
that
you
does.
can see it. Like look.
Yeah.
It's just a few seconds where that goes all out instantly.
It's not got as this. The Mini doesn't have as savage a takeoff or pickup. Let me just sort the steering trim slightly. There's not much difference in speed. Oh, spun out a little bit. That was just the Mini. you want to see how bad the automatic stability program is on this? It's supposed to have some sort of traction control. Do you see how awful it is? I turn it up to full. Right. Watch this. I'm not steering. Do it again. It's absolutely useless. Turn that all the way off. Oh really? You've changed your mind?
Well, because look how you go in the minute you go here. Oh.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Right. That's not the point.
Oh yeah, I mean that one's got off-road capability to a point, isn't it? Yeah, I know. But you can hardly blame the on-road car for being worse on a worse road than an off-road car. Yeah, that's a good point. I suppose we should find out which is quickest. Yep. Alright, we'll set up a drag race. 3, 2, 1, go! Whoa!
I tried to make an adjustment at the
my one isn't broken, so I can't judge from this distance.
You got destroyed.
Oh, I didn't. Whoa! Yeah, well, I can't get it. Mine's still running though, so I win. Oh, did I not mention it was on the way back as well?
3, 2, 1, go.
That throttle delay is brutal. That's another one for your one.
Yeah, it's easy.
Nope.
That speed's about the same.
I think yours catches up once it gets going.
Maybe it does. Let's compare the throttle.
Well, you want to try this one this time?
Well, let's just if I have both things on camera at once and see which one. Ooh, it's hard to do. See which one takes off first. That's about the same. The delay's not great on both of them, but
yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. Oh, that was close. Oh, that was close. Oh, that was close. 3, 2, 1, go. See you later. So that is actually 4-0 to the Pitbull. Yeah. Do you know what we should do to compare the top speed? Do a rolling start. Right, go slowly. That's so difficult.
You took speed once we got up.
Oh, that was close. There's nothing between them.
There's nothing between them once we get going. There's just a throttle delay.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah, it's strange. The on-road, the Mini seems less planted and controllable on the tarmac. Yeah. Well, that really surprised me. Uh-oh. 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 Oh dear.
It's fine.
You just killed my Pitbull.
No, I didn't.
You didn't kill my Pitbull.
Fine.
So, I think you prefer the green one, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You do now.
It's better on more things. It's also faster response.
It does have a little bit better response, but that'll be because it has a real ESC. It doesn't have a 2-in-1. There's nothing between them in terms of speed. I think that one handles slightly better, but this one has adjustment that we can make. You know, it's just guesswork. I've just put the shocks on and sat the red head and left it. In terms of value, sorry?
This is more like a traditional RC car.
Well, yeah.
Feels like normal.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, that one spins out and it's hard to control.
Yeah, as it is, that one handles slightly better. Is it a better RC car? It's hard to say. I mean, for spec, well, but the price is that's not. You can't count that one because that was a special. That exact car with a brushed motor and a nickel metal hydride battery was £85 10 years ago, in the form of the Maverick Ion.
You do this on your little one?
What, crash things? Yes, I can. Don't break my Pitbull. You can't get spares for it anymore. So that's got better spec because it's got a real ESC and it came with a LiPo. That's got a 2-in-1. It came with a lithium ion. That's about 85 quid, maybe more, because for the brushless one, maybe more like £100 for. It's hard to say because, like I say, the Basher Pitbull wasn't a standard typical RC price. It was a stupid price for what was sold under different brands at the time. So you could probably call it about £100 in today's money, maybe £105 in today's money. So it's not any really difference to this, apart from the fact that we've had to put oil-filled shocks on this. So let's just call them the same price. Slightly better spec, much better fit and finish, apart from the fact that there was an over-tightened screw and the diffs are over tight. The fit and finish of this is appalling. You've lost 2 of my body clips, Michael, both front ones, probably from rolling it upside down in puddles. We'll have to go and look. They're both good fun.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Mini's better looking, but
Well, that's subjective though, isn't it?
I think it looks a little bit cooler.
The thing about this is it's closer to an actual hobby grade, electronics aside, because that has hex wheel hubs. These are more like the shaft on your motor. It's a round shaft with one straight bit. They're going to strip out easier, and once these are all gone, I don't know what you're going to do because you can't fit standard fitment stuff on it. This will have more support. I would call this a better RC off the bat, just because of the electronics, and it came with oil-filled shocks as standard, albeit rubbish ones, and it can be used in more locations.
Yeah.
This is an on-road, but this was better on-road.
Yeah.
They're both good, they're both fun, but for the problem is, for £100, £105, would you buy one for £105?
No.
No?
No.
Right.
You'd be better getting the bigger one.
Yeah, you pay 130, 140 for a 1/10 scale. So I think the conclusion is, yes, RCs are generally, cheap RCs are generally better nowadays, better value nowadays, but not necessarily because that one's over a decade old and it's better. So make of that what you will. What a pointless video.